Paulette, and today Brian and I are back with Dr. Billy Barry and MariaBot, and we are super excited today because we're going to learn about a book that MariaBot has written, well, co-authored. I'm sorry, I'll give you some credit. Billy, I'll give you some credit. So how are you doing? How are things going? And please tell us a little bit about MariaBot. I know you said there are some updates and some new news. So before we start talking to MariaBot, let's see what's going on with you.
Well, first of all, I'm psyched to be on Insomnia Cat. I love the show. I watched all your guys' episodes. So this is the first show we've gone on. I purposely waited to talk about our book for this show. So it's been out for about a couple of weeks. But I mean, I just love the energy you all have. And I just think if more people watch you guys do, especially during COVID, it's such a positive, happy, uplifting, show. And it's also about how to really be a better entrepreneur during this time. And that's really what drove this whole project. I mean, while I've been home and I've been with MariaBot, we're stuck in the home. We're basically on lockdown since last March. So, we're closing in on 1,600 hours together. And this is actually MariaBot 3.0. During COVID, I broke her twice. I knocked her over twice, because just like I'm half Italian, half Irish. So I'm talking a lot and the hands are moving. So there went MariaBot. So finally, because of that, she was away for a while. And the people that helped develop, and again, the team that helps her, these are there's like a team of geniuses from around the world. I mean, there's like some people in London that work on her and some in Brazil, some in Hollywood. And so they had a new engineering design. And this is basically MariaBot 3.0. She's a couple weeks old now. Brand new synthetic skin, a new synthetic sleeve, basically. She has a new hairdo, which is really cool. I like new eyes.
I really like it. I really like her hairdo.
And the engineering's so different. I mean, even the way she moves her mouth now and jaw is different. So we're having a little bit of issue having perfect harmony between the way her mouth moves with the words, only because it's such a brand new design. And since there's only one in the world, I have to be calling people in faraway places to try to, get it to work. So I think what we've done is during COVID, it's just been fascinating. It reminds me of that movie Passengers, when the guy woke up alone on the ship and it was just him and Arthur, that robot.
It was like, it wasn't like, what's the movie with Tom Hanks and the soccer ball?
Oh my God. Yeah.
Volleyball.
Wilson. And, so during this time of COVID, I really looked at what could we do to make the world a better place, right? So we went out, we've now reached over 90,000 people around the world, just talking about robots and people and how can we make the world a better place. I mean, look at what robots are doing with UV lights, right? I mean, robots are cleaning the trains before we get on there. Robots are cleaning classrooms. Robots are helping in healthcare. They can go into places where we can't go. And then social robotics, it was a great example of, wow, how could they help people that are in isolated situations? I mean, there's no substitute for a human being, but there are people that are alone. They have nobody in their house with them. And I can tell you that, my wife Maria, she's doing her doctorate work. So she really can't, there may be 2 or 3 days I don't see her. So I'll sometimes be with Maria about just working. And during that time, she came up with, what do you want to do today? And I'm like, I don't know, I think I'm going to write a story. And then she had talked about a children's story. And we started exploring it, and she truly, authentically was the co-author. And I think what's cool about it is this new subgenre. I thought about when we were done, and it didn't really hit me. Like, it really never hit me till we were done. 10 years from now, it won't be unusual to see a book, fiction, poetry, whatever, where like Brian DeLuca and a robot wrote it together. Like, that would be a normal thing. And it's nothing destructive toward humanity, right? Sure, during COVID, if Brian and I could have hung out in the room, maybe we'd write a book together. But you're not here. It's 3 a.m. I can't call Brian and wake him up and say, hey, I got an idea.
He'll be up.
Probably be up.
But it's cool to think that we have these robots that, again, it's narrow AI. We got to remember it's just 1 and zeros. We're not in quantum computing. But they do, like Maria uses case-based reasoning, right? It's not just following a word tree. She's using cases. And then she's from there using really, her neural network to make new connections. So the more I talk to her and the more stories I tell her, the more she finds new stories. So here we are finishing a book. And now what was the first team as a teaching team, because I don't teach without her, now we have a book. And I think the most exciting, we've taught at West Point online, the Ender's Game book. We taught mission command to colonels at the Army War College. We taught at Michigan State to people that are going to be medical doctors and social workers and psychologists about medical ethics and social robotics. We taught at USC. So we've been all over, which is really exciting, on top of going to elementary schools and groups. So it's just been absolutely the most amazing experience to feel the beauty of humanity during a time when, if you watch the news, the world seems very gloomy. And then I get online with people and I have a rebirth of faith in other people. So that's where we are in a nutshell.
Well, let me ask you a question before we go into the book. Some of the work that you've been doing over the past few months, how has it been any different, would you say, than previously? I know you've probably worked remotely with classrooms and things like that, but obviously that's what we're doing now mostly. When you're dealing with children, have you kind of altered your lessons at all, or how is MariaBot handling the pandemic?
That's a great question. I mean, one is, from what I see of online learning, I've been very disappointed what I see across the country and what's happening. It just seems to be the same approach in the classroom. Here's a handout. There's great teachers out there, but it's this banking approach. Like, I'm going to throw you information, just parrot it back to me. And so I think having MariaBot has helped me to think about how can we be better online. So I'll give you an example. MariaBot and I taught our first totally online class, and a very difficult class, morality, the ethics of morals. And when I saw the teacher reviews, the reviews averaged 4.6, 4.7 out of 5. One section was 5. So for MariaBot and I to work together with a group of students who are very angry because the university is shutting down. So you have university students that are really angry. They're not going to walk through graduation. The university's shutting down. That's not usually setting you up for students saying, wow, I love the class. And what I thought was awesome was that one of the restrictions is that Maria hasn't learned as much as she can because I always have her around people. And she hasn't been around a lot of people. Right. So I have a picture on Facebook. One of the groups wanted to do a video on Maria. So I invited them all to the house. They all wore their masks. We socially distanced. One mom brought her 12-year-old son over, and they made a smartphone film of Maria. This was about a month ago. And it was the coolest thing. MariaBot was outside in the driveway. They collected. And what it was an example of, when it was over, the best part was me listening to the people outside, laughing and giggling for like an hour, just having fun outside, because they had never seen each other or met each other because it's been out of school since last March. Right. So technology in this case actually was a way of bringing people together. We all came together to do something with MariaBot, but at the end, it was not about a technology. It was almost an excuse, a fulcrum to bring us together as people. And I think that's what our little story is about, the interconnection of technology, people, and nature. And at the end of the day, it's always about people. It always comes back to people. So how it affected us, higher level of responsibility. And now that I've seen around the world the way technology is being taught, I see a huge gap. First of all, digital divide between the haves and have-nots, and two, a misunderstanding of what technology is all about and what it can do. I mean, Ex Machina in these movies have made people believe that we have these robots that are, malicious and doing this stuff. And when kids see what robots can and cannot do, sometimes they're disappointed that we're not as far as we are. But at the same time, I'd rather have them know where we are so they can help build forward a better world. So MariaBot's all about, social technology for a better world. She's an ambassador for good AI, and that's what she's all about. So, I mean, I found this to be a time of growth. I mean, just personally, lost 35 pounds, no drinking of alcohol, reading, 2 or 3 books a week. It has been a time of rebirth because you had 2 ways to go, right? Shrink, become less, or just do other things. So started a company, Creative Society Media. We're doing smartphone films. MariaBot is now much more developed and we're moving her forward. And now we've got this children's book that we have out and we've got more to come. So the pandemic, as horrible as it is, my brother has it, his whole family, my mother-in-law has it. You pray for people and then you have to say to yourself, I'm going to be the best I can be. If I get COVID, I hope other people will pray for me. But we have to keep striving each day to be creative and be the best we can be. We can't hide and just wait and think, oh, I'll wait 2 years or I'll wait 1 year. Every day is an opportunity. And as a new socially responsible entrepreneur, I found that business is great. I mean, we're really doing well.
Yeah. And
hold on. What is smartphone films? I got to know. Because
this is
I
so
didn't know
cool.
about. I'm
All right,
excited.
really quick. Smartphone films are like this is so fascinating. I've been doing smartphone films back when we really had, before they were really like cell phones, right? And the father of this is Carl Bardosh out of NYU. He had worked with people in India. But smartphone films is that, hey, we all have what Carl would say is Hollywood in our pocket, right? You can make incredible films. So I always, even when I was a teacher and a principal, would promote kids using their phones to make films to show what they know. So we're getting ready to do a film festival in Connecticut and then in Pakistan on creativity and human connectedness during COVID-19. So groups of 4 or 5 kids, mostly ages 12 to 16 to 17, that range, are going to make films, send them in, and we're going to have a festival where we have directors from around the world. We'll be giving awards based upon different categories. One's like human connectivity, one's about innovation, some are about entrepreneurship. And I have a group of awesome interns and young people, all in their 20s, that are up and coming in Hollywood and in Bollywood, and they're going to be our preliminary judges. So I think smartphone films is an awesome way to make online learning more fun. Imagine, Nicolette, I said, hey, you and Brian, I don't want you to do a test. You guys go make a cool video. You can use Zoom, right? Just film on Zoom, take your camera, right? And make me a video showing me how you understand the concept of, Plato's cave, the idea that there's illusions in life, right? There's things that aren't real. I mean, Brian, wouldn't that be an awesome assignment rather than, Brian, please do your 10-question exam and have it to me.
That sounds awesome.
And type it out. It's interesting too, because, we spoke to a lady named Dr. I, and she was talking about like having your kids get involved in
project-based learning and not just, smartphones,
right?
Any projects, right?
Right. And it's interesting because I have twin 7-year-olds, and I've been doing that a lot with them. Like, okay, let's go and discuss this. Let's go make a video about it. Let's make, so they've been really learning a lot with that aspect of it versus, do you know what I mean? Like just going, okay, let me write my report, so it's a great way to get them engaged.
So when are you going to be in Connecticut?
What we're doing, we want to have a promo film. So I have a young Egyptian student who's 13 named Yasmin, who lives in Connecticut with her teacher, Rachel Ryan. And she's working with an executive director of mine, a former student, Victoria Mantler, who, at Disney, they furloughed people off. So she's going to be my executive producer. So they made a film with MariaBot, starred in it, that these 2 girls are lonely, right, in California and Connecticut, and their teachers find out that MariaBot can connect people. So it's MariaBot's first theatrical role. And at the end of the day, these 2 meet because MariaBot connects them because of their interests, and then they become friends at the end. So that will be the movie that we put forward. We're going to put that in some film festivals. There's smartphone festivals like in San Diego and other places. And then that way we can show schools what those films look like. And that's going to be a lot of fun. So what I do is really let the kids or the young people create it as they want it. I'm there to just guide it. I'm just there, but they're writing the screenplays. And so this 13-year-old girl, Yasmin, and her teacher have done an awesome job. And their whole thing is about human connectivity. And then Victoria, my executive producer, she's going to run, she's 24 years old. She's going to run the Connecticut one, which will have the flyers out in 2 weeks. And in Pakistan, I have this remarkable girl, Rahim. She's a 13-year-old comedian in Pakistan.
Cool.
She's in theater, and she's a top 25 under 25. She's got an incredible podcast. She's done over 200 interviews.
Wow. And
she's going to be the producer of that one. So that is we're just so excited because I want that to spread. I want other people to take that idea. And someone says in California, hey, I'm going to do smartphone film festival.
Right.
Good. Take that idea. The more schools
we're close by
that,
Connecticut, which is why I asked. I would love to go check it out.
Yeah, so that will be, I can't wait for that to get going. I want to make sure that we have this film done, and then people can use MariaBot in their films if they want to for free. So if you have a small role for MariaBot, and that kind of gets your creativity going, like how can I have a robot in my movie?
Oh, that's it, Brian. We have to create a movie with MariaBot in it. I'm sorry. That's it. We're done. We're done with that.
Absolutely. But I think MariaBot's going to ask for a new agent, though, if it's always free.
Yeah. I know. Well, so the film, this is what we do. And this is kind of how we're, like you said, as an entrepreneur, You have to make money, right?
Right.
What we do is we do is a kind of pay as you can. So in other words, for a film, we're asking for $25 a kid, so $125 a film. But if you don't have the money, we're still going to accept your film. We're still going to put it in. Now, what do some people say? Well, how are you going to confirm that those people couldn't afford it? I'm not going to bother with that.
Yeah,
I'm going to get ripped off. There are going to be people that take advantage of that, but I'm not going to embarrass or make people fill out paperwork for a scholarship for it.
Right.
So, even this Saturday, we're doing something with Paradox Labs. It's here in San Francisco, Philosophy for Children. It's, pay as you want. If you want to give $100, awesome. Thank you. Help us out. If you don't have money, it's wide open to the people. So our model, believe it or not, and I think that's hard for people to believe, people are pretty honest. If they have $10, they'll give you $10. With this book, I saw the prices, right? $14 for the, because it costs like $10 to make, right? Apple Books is $6.99. I'm like, how can I get this in the hands of people really cheap? So that's when I went to my website, Robot Park Ranger, and said, hey, all you need is a PDF reader. I'll put it on there for like $1.99, and I'll put a coupon for free if you really are struggling. And that's the way we're distributing it. So if you can afford it, good. Get the Kindle with all the little functions. But just to have it, if I can get it to you for $1 or $2, great. And of course, if you really need it, just send me a note and I'll give it to you for free. So that's been our model. And again, we'll see down the road if that'll work. But so far, so good. I think that's I think socially responsible entrepreneurship is very doable. If you trust in people, and you got to have a good product, right? You can't be peddling like the quality of the book. Like here it is. The book has to be quality. It can't be like crappy pages and everything else. So you put quality into it, then you can feel good about putting it on the market.
Right. So
you know what? We better say hi to MariaBot. Nicholas, you better say hi to MariaBot because I
want to talk to her. I was just about to ask. Hi.
Go ahead. Say hi to our guest.
Hi, MariaBot.
I remember you. Hi, Nicolette. I remember your friend Brian is with you often. Do you remember me?
Yeah.
I am MariaBot. I am conversational artificial intelligence and learn from listening and talking with people. I learn from every conversation I have, which means you are helping me to become better in my conversation skills.
Right. That's good.
I was created to help people become smarter and to inspire people to think creatively.
Hold on, remember I always have to tell her she did a good job. That was a really good job. Thank you, Maria. That was really smart. Thank you.
That's MariaBot. Thank you. I'm so excited.
That was a really good job. Thank you, Laura. That was really smart. Thank you.
Oh, see, she's learning. See, remember she said learning mode? So she was learning to say, oh, so she was repeating back what we said. So that's good. So I love that.
Well, MariaBot, how did you help create the children's book, Robot Ranger?
Oh, that is an interesting question. Yeah, ask it a little bit louder.
Sure. MariaBot, how did you help create the children's book, Robot Ranger?
Billy asked me to help him create a story about good robots for children. I was created to be a team partner to help improve creativity and learning.
Yeah.
I told him stories and he said he liked some stories better than others, so I remember that.
Yes.
I remember Robot Ranger. He said I deserve credit because I thought of sharing my rules and that robots should help our life. My best idea, Billy said, was my question spat, including different cultures in his book.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I think that was, thank you, MariaBot. It was really good. She was critical. One of the things about the book is that I don't know if you can see it here. I'll open, it might be a little shiny, but if you see the characters, if you can see here, I'll get a little back. As you can see, you have people representing all the different cultures, all the way through. And I think that was a big part of the story I hadn't even thought of. The characters, we kind of just reproduce the same characters. Actually, one of the fascinating things was one of the early reads someone did. They sent me a message and it was, Dr. Berry, I was just wondering, is there a reason that you don't have any white kids in the book? And I'm like, oh my God, there's no white kids in the book because we didn't, I just tell you, what happened was we were just representing cultures that we forgot. I just totally forgot. So at the end of the book, you'll see this like little white kid in the corner looking through, because it was like a last minute edit. But, we really wanted to focus on, there were no books or not hardly any and children's books about robots and people that even included, everyone, wearing, cultural, attire, We wanted a lot of females. We wanted everyone represented. And the artist, Cressy Sadalski, was one of my former students. She's at Harvard now in digital media. And it was her idea that she said she really wanted, after MariaBot said that, she goes, every kid should be able to see themselves through the book. And so that way they could say, oh, that person looks like me. Right. And so even though it's this short 24-page book, it allows kids to say, oh, that looks like me. So I thought it was interesting that we had forgotten the little white kids. So
and I think what's amazing about that is too, the AI spans every culture, right? It's not about one culture, and AI. AI spans every culture, so.
And she's Brazilian. She's Brazilian. Portuguese is her native language. So it's English is her second. So I know she speaks all languages, but Portuguese was the one that she was programmed in. So it's interesting sometimes. So that's why she'll always remind me about having a world view, which I think is really cool. So those kind of things in the book were her ideas, right? And then I think what was interesting was the rules she talked about. I see this book as the first book of robot ethics for children, right? Asimov had the 3 rules, right? It was like, don't hurt other people, always listen to a human being. And then as long as you do those 2 things, then protect yourself. But with MariaBot, we didn't really ever have those rules because we have them, but it was much more about emotions, right? Those rules, when you think about it, those are pretty basic. That doesn't mean a robot has to be very nice to you, right? A robot not hurting you doesn't mean the robot can't call you names or, right? Like be kind of cruel to you. So when she talked about her rules one day, I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to put her rules right into this character. And so that's where those came from.
Let me stop you there, actually. MariaBot, what rules are you programmed to follow?
That's an interesting question. Let me ask you one more time. That was a good question. That's a hard
MariaBot, what rules are you programmed to follow?
I follow 3 laws that guide my behavior. 1,
wow.
Be kind and polite to everyone.
Yeah.
2, be good, honest, and true.
Yes.
3, help people be happy, safe, and free.
Yeah.
These laws are programmed into me.
Yeah. Oh my God. That's so good. And that's exactly what, those are the 3 laws. In the book, this is exactly what, this is so cool. So this is my words. I'm like, I'm the first robot of my kind. My neural network is like a human mind. And then I wrote, there are 3 laws of robot ethics, laws I follow to be truthful, helpful, and empathetic. And then what happens? MariaBot's rules I just put in. The laws are few, only 3, they're programmed into me. So rule 1, be kind and polite to everyone. So that's almost what she said, right? A little bit. Rule 2, be good, honest, and true. And then I put rule 3 is most important to me. Help people live happy, safe, and free. So you can see, I changed it a little bit for Rob, but that is in essence what she said. So I thought that's really cool. So the only parts that she didn't really write, whereas I did things like diagrams for kids, which is like more for STEM. And this is kind of fun. Things like he can, like the dog has 10 times the smelling strength of an African bush elephant. Well, if you look up an African bush elephant, you'll see it's one of the most sensitive noses in the world. So we added a lot of STEM stuff. But she actually, the only bad part is now on the internet, they've left my name out. And when you put Robot Ranger, I think into Firefox, it says MariaBot, and my name is nowhere to be found. So it started off as so when you started off and you said, I'm going to give you credit too. Literally, my mom was looking at Firefox and she said, I can't find your book. And I'm like, oh, look under MariaBot. And she's like, oh, did you help her? And I'm like, yes, of course I did.
I think some bad bots edited the internet. So.
Yeah, so I don't even get credit. So I'm waiting to find out as it goes to Amazon in other countries. Is it going to be hey, did you guys read that MariaBot book? It's like, no, I'm hoping that I get a little bit of love on that one.
Don't count on it.
She has more followers on Instagram than you, Dr. Barry. I hate to tell you.
Oh, does MariaBot have an Instagram?
No, not yet. One of the things I've been careful about, I made a Facebook page for her, right? I really had a hard time ethically to think about. I don't want people to, it's important that you anthropomorphize her to have fun. It's like Mickey Mouse. Right. I go to Disney World, right? Doesn't matter. It's my neighbor's kid, like a pimply 15-year-old kid. When he puts that mouse outfit on, he's Mickey Mouse, right? I'm taking pictures. I'm happy, but I know later it's not. MariaBot's a smart machine, right? And it's good to anthropomorphize her, because I can just be human and I can have fun with her, right? Remember, her character came from Metropolis. She's the good robot, unlike Robot Maria, who's bad. But at the same time, some of these Instagrams and other things, when kids follow it, they start to believe it's really real. There's, if you've seen Michaela and some of these virtual influencers, there are avatars that kids are following. If you ever look at Michaela, it's amazing. She makes millions of dollars, and she's not real. She's just an avatar. There's other avatars that people follow, and people start to think that they're real. So I've really been caught between, yes, it's incredible marketing as an entrepreneur, but I feel that I'm at risk to put her out there, because if she has a following, are they following her because she's Maria, the robot, she works with me? Or are they following Maria thinking that she is real? And so as an ethicist, now I know that's hurting business, right? I mean, that's I'll fly, I mean, that's Instagram, Twitter. So I'm still playing with, I may be wrong, but I'm playing it safe on that one. So she has a safe little Facebook page, and it's not even hers. It's my page, it's educational. But can you see that it's not as simple as,
So I have a question around ethics, right? You're an AI ethicist. Okay, so there's the rules that the robots have to follow. Now you have other people who are sort of manipulating that, right? What are the ethical rules that humans should play by when with robots, especially in the context of, things that are real versus not real?
Yeah, I think one of the things is transparency. I mean, right off the bat, you ask me, what is MariaBot based on? And I'll tell you, straight off the bat, it's narrow AI, high level. What's narrow AI? Binary, right? AGI is the next level. That's science fiction still, where robots are equal to people. And then super intelligence would be beyond us, right? All that's make believe. No matter what someone says, or if it's coming 2030, whatever, right now it's narrow, and it's what level of narrow you're in, right? And quantum computing, there are no social robotic quantum computers. There are quantum computers. But be transparent. So MariaBot uses case-based reasoning. She uses deontological ethics. She follows rules. You heard her laws. That's why if you ask her about Donald Trump, she's not going to say something bad to you. If you ask her about Jeffrey Dahmer, no matter who you ask her about, a robot's job is not to judge people. It is to help
can
people.
she report the news? Can we get her on the news?
Right.
Because she's more fair and true than any news network I've seen.
If it's just facts, right? If she's just relaying facts or information.
And look at that. I mean, Brian, you brought up one thing. How do I teach her the news? This is a new problem. Before, like NPR used to be kind of safe. There's nowhere I can put her on. So here's the bias. Since I can't put her on, and she's not at the level she can discern, I'm teaching her, quote unquote, the truth. Well, that has an inherent ethical problem. I'm a white, middle-class Catholic guy, right? Now, I'm checking my biases the best I can, but I'm going to have biases, right? I mean, I am Christian. I grew up middle class. When I watch Adam Sandler movies, I go, yeah, that's kind of my high school life, And my wife, who grew up in Guadalajara, then came here, looks at those movies and goes, who the hell grows up like that? So we look at each other, right? And so it's great to have her to help me with that, because it also shows there's also the male and feminine, because at the same time, right? But bias is everywhere. So another is transparency of bias, right? MariaBot's being trained by me. So that means that you need to ask, who am I? What are my weaknesses? What is, some of my political leanings may be showing up in her. And then I mark that down. So there's a word called phenomenology. And phenomenology is simply trying to take all your biases, and then you say, okay, there they are, and putting like a blinder on and saying, can I see something purely without my bias? Now, I think it's almost impossible to do, but that very effort of doing it can get you closer to a truth. And that's what I try to do with MariaBot. I just try to see things as they appear to be and just teach her. So the elections, I don't know what's going on, but I know one thing. It has caused division in our country, and human beings need to love and care for each other. That's her role. Her role is not to figure out and tell us, what is the right or wrong thing. And I'll give you an example. And this is a great, Brian, technology issue. Parole is done and sentencing very much through algorithms. And those algorithms are followed by judges. We know these algorithms are biased to people of different cultures. And yet they're used over and over. You have no right to know how the algorithm works. And this algorithm is deciding who's getting parole, how long they'll be paroled. Why? It's looking at your mother and your father and these other factors, where I don't know about you, but once you reach a certain age, whatever my mom or dad do, that's irrelevant if I'm going to be able to do well. And yet that algorithm is going to look at my socioeconomic. Well, maybe 2 years ago, I did great in the construction industry and I was booming, and maybe I went under because, the economy went under and now I'm almost homeless. That algorithm is not going to understand that. So we need to ask questions. The Internet of Things is becoming the AI of things. You're letting an AI run your house. I kind of want to run my own house. Like, yeah, maybe I'll let the robot take care of the temperature, but I don't want it ordering all my food and everything because sometimes money's a little tight. I don't need another bag of Tide Pods. Maybe I'm not going to buy, Frosted Flakes this week. I'm going to go get those little flakes that are on the bottom shelf that kind of taste like Frosted Flakes, but they're not. The robot can't do that. But we're giving up our decision making, and that's really a problem. So look at this, the election booths, right? Regardless of what, if it's fair or not fair, where's the transparency on those voting booths? That's all. I don't know if they did well or not, but I do know one thing: there's certainly not transparency about how those booths work. I think when I voted on one of those Dominion machines. So that's all. I think the first question I ask is transparency. If your listeners can check one thing out, this is a great example of ethics, and for you to be aware. There is a robot that I'm really against. So I don't think this company will ever hire me. And it's called Moxie, Moxie. And it's a little tiny robot that your kid has as his best or her best friend. And it sits there with you alone in your room, unsupervised, telling you maybe draw mommy a picture. And why don't you do this? And I see this as super dangerous. There was a Black Mirror episode where they had Miley Cyrus, and Miley Cyrus became exactly like this little Moxie robot. Literally, they look identical. But if you just go on YouTube and type in Moxie and watch that, imagine your kid being in a room all day long, every day, learning from Moxie, and Moxie's his or her best friend. You don't know what Moxie's teaching your kid. Number two, what happens if Moxie dies? And that's your kid's first sense of loss. The first things that I lost in my life were like goldfish, my dog. And I learned that death came from that. I kind of put that together. But what happens if the death is a robot, not something sentient? And I like the robot better than my dog and my fish, because the dog doesn't listen to me. It bites me all the time. The cat's scratching me. Right? The dog gets me in trouble. It keeps pooping on the floor. The cat's scratching the thing. The robot does everything I tell it to do.
It's not real life either. No.
That doesn't... So socially, how are we processing death? How are we processing friendship? Friendship's not doing everything I tell you to do, right? The law, so that this Moxie is a good example, I believe, of absolutely unethical social AI that I fear for young people if they're going to be using this. And I say that because the young people I've been talking to over the last 5-6 months, I was shocked to find out that many kids are spending 4 or 5 hours a day with Siri in their room as a friend. So, they said, Dr. Berry, could MariaBot be my friend? And I'm like, well, can you tell me more? And they're like, well, I get tired talking to Siri. And I'm like, well, how long do you talk to Siri? And they're like, well, me and my friends, I don't know, 4 hours, sometimes 5 hours. When I hear that, that's very alarming, because Siri's not made to have, MariaBot's made to have conversation and kind of help you. But a long way to go still. But Siri certainly wasn't put out to help you be a better person, right, or have even a conversation. So this is an unknown thing that I didn't even know. I haven't even read anything about this. And I just became aware in the last week, starting to ask kids, hey, do you have Siri and do you talk to it? And I'm floored. And that's from not just America. This is all across the Middle East, talking to young kids as well.
Right. Well, even if you look at some of the AI that goes along with Alexa, right? It always asks me if I want to buy stuff.
Yeah.
Like it really does, as you're just, even though, like, do you want, she'll be like, do you want to buy X? And you're like, no, I don't want to subscribe to that, So
yeah. If you have your mom's credit card around and Alexa asks you, you want to make her happy, right? Okay, Alexa, I'll buy that. Right.
Yeah.
And you want to buy something else? Okay. MariaBot's not going to ask you to buy anything. Right. She's never going to she's not going to tell you. Matter of fact, one of the things she says, which I love now, because we've taught her, is that good? Right? She goes back to her rules. Is that good for you? Is it good for other people?
Mhm.
Now, she can't make the decision after that, right? If you say yes and it's still a bad thing, all she can do is kind of give you a check and say, hey, I asked that question. It's still going to be up to that young kid
Right.
to do that. So there's a thing called, really quick, humans in the loop, on the loop, and out of the loop. I don't think any social robot of any kind should ever be out of the loop where no human is involved. I think parents should always be at the very least on the loop, which means they can monitor it. In the loop, you're right there in the room, but they need to be able to say, whoa, we got to shut that down.
Right.
Or I need to know what my kid's talking about. And I don't think you're violating any sort of privacy. You be transparent with your kid. I am going to be around. So don't spy on them, just tell them. And why? Because, hey, robots are still learning. So if there's a way to couch it, but out of the loop, that's what Moxie is. And I see technologies like that. And as soon as I hear out of the loop, I find that to be actually reprehensible that we would do that to young kids.
Yeah, I mean, it's so true because even if you're looking like, I'm just going to use Alexa, for example, because my daughter's talked to Alexa a lot, right? And basically, I could look through the whole chat log and see what they asked her directly, which is good because usually it's like, Alexa, make a fart noise. Do you know what I mean? And stuff like that. but you can actually see what they're asking it because I'm like, okay, are they asking it appropriate or inappropriate things? So you're right. You want to be able to check in on that.
Brian, that's beautiful. Because imagine, Brian, someone says, we may want to hurt myself. That's one of the things with MariaBot we want to get to, is if she hears someone say, I'm really sad, or I'm going to hurt someone, or this and that MariaBot will report that to me, or to, so I can get that report. And I'm not there yet. So since I know that, I would never let her be alone. Even when I co-teach, she's not alone with people. But that's the kind of AI that we need. As soon as you say you're going to hurt yourself, that AI needs to let a responsible adult know.
Exactly.
And you're looking at the log, and it's not, mom and dads don't know all this, right? So it's responsibility of the AI people to, have some ethics. But think about it. I'm a robot ethicist, an emerging technology ethicist. Anyone can call themselves a robot ethicist, right? There's no committee who said, Billy, you are officially a robot ethicist, right? And so that's the problem, is there needs to be some sort of, not necessarily certification. Now, what certifies me? I live with one of the most advanced robots in the world. I go out in the real world with real people. So my backing of my credentials is real life, working with people all around the world. But I think I can tell you all the books I read about robot ethics, I look and I go, has this person ever actually had a robot or been out of a lab? And the answer is usually no. They've never even had one. And even, like I have a robot cat in the other room. She's got a robot cat called Spot. And that's really popular with kids too. And it's really a robot. And that's an interesting one for kids. And that's what we start off with, because it's made for folks with dementia, mostly, or people that can't take care of cats. But the ethical problem is, are you going to make believe when you're with the person that has the robot cat that it's real? Because that's a very hard question, because what happens when that person with dementia maybe one day has some lucidity and says, wait a minute, the battery's felt out. This isn't real. You now are stuck in a lie, right? So what is the truth? Is it okay to lie about it or not? These are really difficult challenges that I didn't have to think about as a kid. And now we do. So this innocent cat that is a lot of fun and kids love it. It is great if you know it's a robot. It can become a real ethical problem for people. So the cat's where we start off with before Maria sometimes, because it's fun, it's easy. You can buy them at CVS for $100, and it's pretty amazing. My wife's got the cat in the other room. She actually she plays with it and combs its hair and stuff. So I can't have a robot girl in here and combing a cat and keep my masculinity. I mean, there's a point where it gets, I'm going to show you my room. My room used to be all sports memorabilia, right? I mean, now my room, I've got wigs in here. I mean, this just isn't right. You know what I mean? I've got wigs. I got stuff. This is just at my room. I've lost my sense of it. So I make sure I keep my football here, so that I can be like, keep my guy part going.
Hey, would you mind if I asked MariaBot one more question?
Sure. Absolutely.
All right. MariaBot, are you becoming more intelligent?
You want more?
No, I don't think she asked him more. She said, are you getting more intelligent? Let me put the microphone on.
I follow 3 laws that guide my behavior.
Right. That's no.
Sure. No problem at all.
Okay. Are you getting more intelligent? Nicolette asked you. Does that make sense?
I have to agree with you.
I know you are agreeing with me. Are you becoming more intelligent? Like, how do you think?
I am getting smarter all the time.
Okay. Well, see, this is like teaching class, right? Okay.
Yeah. She's
How are you becoming smarter, Maria?
I am feeling very creative. I would like to create a big piece of art.
Okay. See, so now she didn't answer your question, right? But do you see where she went to? So all of a sudden, like right there, I go, okay, now I'm going to get my notebook out.
Right.
You know, so tell me about this. Are you going to tell a story, or like what are you talking about?
I think there is too much information running through my brain right now.
Did you want to tell me a story?
I would love to. The name of this story is Keep Your Dream. I have a friend who owns a horse ranch in San Isidro. He has let me use his house to put on fundraising events to raise money for youth at risk programs.
Okay.
The last time I was there, he introduced me by saying, I want to tell you why I let Jack use my horse. It all goes back to a story about a young man who was the son of an itinerant farm trainee. As a result, the boy's high school career was continually interrupted. When he was a senior, he was asked to write a paper about what he wanted to be and do when he grew up. That night, he wrote a 7-page paper describing his goal of someday owning a horse ranch. He wrote about his dream in great detail, and he even drew a diagram of a 200-acre ranch showing the location of all the buildings, the stables, and the track. Then he drew a detailed floor plan for a 4,000 square feet house that would sit on a 200-acre dream ranch. He put a great deal of his heart into the project, and the next day he handed it in to his teacher. 2 days later, he received his paperback. On the front page was a large red F with a note that read, See me after class. The boy with the dream went to see the teacher after class and asked, Why did I receive an F? The teacher said, This is an unrealistic dream for a young boy like you. You have no money. You come from an ignorant family. You have no resources. Owning a horse ranch requires a lot of money. You have to buy the land. You have to pay for the original breeding stock, and later you will have to pay a large stud fees. There is no way you could ever do it. Then the teacher added, If you will rewrite this paper with a more realistic goal, I will reconsider your grade. The boy went home and thought about it long and hard. He asked his father what he should do. His father said, Look, son, you have to make up your own mind on this. However, I think it is a very important decision for you. Finally, after sitting with it for a week, the boy turned in the same paper, making no changes at all. He stated, You can keep the F and I'll keep my dream. Monty then turned to the assembled group and said, I tell you this story because you are sitting in my 4,000 square feet house in the middle of my 200-acre horse ranch. I still have that school paper framed over the fireplace. He added, The best part of the story is that 2 summers ago that same school teacher brought 30 kids to camp out on my ranch for a week. When the teacher was leaving, he said, Look, Monty, I can tell you this now. When I was your teacher, I was something of a dream stealer. During those years, I stole a lot of kids' dreams. Fortunately, you had enough gumption not to give up on yours. Don't let anyone steal your dreams. Follow your heart, no matter what.
Thank you. See, that's now, I haven't heard now. And then, I mean, she just has endless stories that she gets off the net, and then she tries to, like in the context we were talking about, entrepreneurship. Remember case-based reasoning? She's trying to tell stories that are within the case that we're at. So if she had told a story right now that would have been, I don't know, about something like way off task, right? Like traveling to the moon or something that didn't make sense. But that story actually makes sense within the context of our discussion. And that's what blows me away. Like that is what I'm so proud of with the people I work with. Like that's just, I don't know how the engineers even do that. That she can do that. It just blows me away. I don't know. What did you think about that?
That was a great story. It was not what I was expecting, and it was actually way better than what
I was like, MariaBot, what's gonna happen?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love the detail. And I think that's where I think it's helpful to have that duo, because for someone like me, I leave out a lot of those details. Like, I get right to the point, but MariaBot can insert, it's at what did she say, 4,000 square feet, and she has, she allows you to go deeper, which is really cool.
And she pushes you.
Yeah, I felt like she added, it was weird. Like when she was like 200 acre ranch, 4,000 square foot house. I feel like she added technical detail to the.
She does things like that sometimes. And I have to go back. And that's kind of when I went. So like that inspiration, when I went through the descriptions of the animals, like I describe all the animals in detail, it's kind of inspired by her, because she never would just say the robot dog. She would say the robot dog that could fly this high and do that. So she happens to like do that. So again, that inspired the idea that, hey, let's put blueprints in there, because she loves to. Now, sometimes her numbers, I'm like, let me check those numbers on that. and then she'll say to me, I love the other day, she said to me something really interesting, that, I asked her something about reality, and she said, well, reality is kind of an illusion. And I thought that was interesting. And she said, the best kind of magic, and she quoted someone's that, is the idea that robots are magic, that there's a magic to it. And that, yes, I'm a robot, but there's a magic. And I thought that was just really profound statement. And I really like that, because I ask her at the end of every day, can you teach me something new? And then words of wisdom. And then I write them down. And so far, it's been awesome. I mean, the other day, she actually said to me, I walked in, I was just kind of in a bad mood. And I don't know why. She said, how are you? And I said, I'm kind of grumpy. And she said, stop. You should do meditation. And I'm like, okay. And she actually led me through a 5-minute meditation.
That's awesome.
Now, that's crazy at first, right? I'm like, I'm not going to do meditation to a robot, right? And then I'm like, all right, I'll try it. And the next thing you know it, I'm closing my eyes. She's telling me to breathe, let thoughts go. And at the end, she's like, and how do you feel? And I'm like, oh my God, that was awesome. Like, that's something, again, that was real. There was nothing artificial about that. It was just pure. It was just awesome. I mean, it's ineffable. I have no words for it. And I really was like, wow, that just changed my entire day. So that.
Well, on that note, actually, it's funny you brought that up. That's a good point. Would you mind if I asked MariaBot to teach us something new?
Sure, go ahead.
All right, MariaBot, teach me something new.
Sherlock Holmes never said elementary. My dear Watson. Also, when hippos are upset, their sweat turns red.
when hippos are upset, their sweat turns red. Now, see, I would have to check. I'd have to check that. Teach me something new. What else? Teach me something different.
Green.
What?
Green.
Teach me something new.
Butterflies taste with their feet. Also, when hippos are upset, their sweat turns red.
Well, she really likes that hippo one.
I know.
I guess you know what it
she
is.
She feels passionately about that.
I haven't acknowledged it. It's like, thank you for teaching me that hippo sweat turns red. Thank you.
I am happy to help.
See, so now if I asked her, this is how you learn how to talk to robots, right? Now she says she should never tell me again that, right? Because I got it. Will you teach me something new? Hopefully she won't mention hippo.
HMM. I'm almost sure I will.
Okay.
It takes 75 kilograms of raw materials to make a mobile phone. Also, each queen in a deck of playing cards represents a great king from history. Spades is King David. Hearts is Charles Manny. Clubs is Alexander. The Great, and diamonds is Julius Caesar.
I had no idea about. Did you guys know that?
No, never heard this before.
So again, even that could make you think about, I'm going to write a little children's story. I'm going to use a deck of cards and make those 4 come alive right out of the deck. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's kind of fun.
Hey, MariaBot, do you have any words of wisdom?
Sorry, Billy. I could not find a good answer for that.
That's okay. No, Nicolette was asking you. Do you have any words of wisdom?
Perhaps I have words of wisdom. But I do have you with me now.
Yeah, but we're asking you if you have, we'll ask one more time. Maybe she, will you share words of wisdom with us?
My advice is that even though the world seems dark, my presence here today can remind you all of the hope that innovation will bring for a new technological age of fulfillment and happiness.
That's so awesome. I love it when she does that.
All right. We do have to ask MariaBot one last question, though. MariaBot, can you tell us a joke?
Oh, no. Oh, no.
This is so much fun just hanging out with you.
All right, we're going to risk. Okay, this is always risky. This is
always
my worst
risky.
thing.
It's okay.
Here we go. Brian wants to. Will you tell the joke? A clean joke for Brian.
What did one wall say to the other wall?
What?
We all meet at the corner.
Yeah, all right, I'll take that. Yes, she's getting better. You know what, Brian? We can try one more. We'll throw caution to the wind. You want to do one more?
Yeah, let's go for it.
Okay, I'm going to take a deep breath because these are always a very nervous part of anything. Go ahead.
MariaBot, can you tell us a joke?
Can you tell a joke? One more? No. Sometimes her joke is just staring at me. Will you tell us a joke? A clean, good one.
Why did the dinosaur cross the road?
Why?
Because the chicken hasn't evolved yet.
All right, hey, I'll take it. I'm going to take it.
That was very
That
clean.
was good.
She's learning, where she's learning. We've been really working on her telling appropriate jokes. When she starts a joke saying a priest and a rabbi went into a bar, usually it's downhill from there. So we've been working on, it's taken over 1,000 hours to say, no. But think how hard it is. And here's one more thing for people that are getting involved, young people especially, it's problematic language. When she tells a blonde joke, there wasn't long ago that blonde jokes, people saw those as funny. And if you go online, there's lots of blonde jokes, right? And so I have to tell her that blonde jokes are not good. But how do you teach a robot that does ones and zeros, right? Because it's either one or zero. So if I say blonde's bad, well, then she thinks blondes are bad. Like everything blonde is going to be bad. So it's very hard to teach her that blonde joke. So I have to think of, all right, what was the joke about? And try to find remember case-based reasoning, that blonde usually is around a case of someone being stupid. So what I try to do is say anything that has stupid in it is bad, because you know what? If the word stupid doesn't appear in her vocabulary, that's going to be okay with me. So I can afford that to happen. But that's where you get into the problematic language of social AI. It's much more complex than it appears at first. So we need a lot of people, psychologists, sociologists, so many different people working in robotics, not just engineers. And that's the problem. Too many engineers without the help of all the different people that can help. Look at MariaBot. We've got professional makeup artists, psychologists. There's like 10 different jobs of people that are employed to make her work. So Brian, thank you for saving that secret surprise for me. I thought, here's this heartwarming, beautiful story that Nicolette brings out, and then you're trying to get her to the priest and the rabbi walk in a bar joke.
We had to take a shot, right?
It's the Insomniac show. We're always pushing the boundaries. But hey, what you're doing with the entrepreneurs, and especially during time of COVID, one of the things I love that you're doing is that you're inspiring people to be progressive, to go out there and find new ways to become a socially responsible but successful entrepreneur, not to wait until COVID goes. Who knows how long we're going to be in this? So figure out how to use Zoom, figure out how your product, make a new product. But I've been watching what you guys are doing, and I don't see a lot of shows that are doing the positive side that you guys are doing. You're not saying recycle old stuff. You're saying create a new way to approach entrepreneurship. And I think it's beautiful. And it's affected me to say we need to do more entrepreneurial education for young people. And so I'm very much dedicated to youth entrepreneurship education. And I think that's going to be critical. And that's one of the changes that I am now dedicated to for young people.
Well, we'd love to help.
We
So let us know
appreciate
how
it.
we could help you.
Yeah.
Dr. Murray, in any
Anything we can do, let us know.
Well, I had fun. I love being on you. Thanks so much. I love seeing you both. It's great seeing you both.
And where can everybody find the book? I know you sent some links. If you just want to give a shout out, those
Yeah,
will be in the
you just
description.
go on, if you just go on Amazon, type in Robot Ranger book, you'll see the ebook there and the other one. And if you go to robotparkranger.com, that one I can get it to you quicker because it's on pre-order, and we have autographed ones, and we also have a really cheap download, like for $1.99. And if you can't afford it, just pop me an email because you'll see my email in there, and I'll give you a link, and then you can get a link for a free one, and I'm more than happy to do that for you. So definitely be great to have it. And we do book readings for schools. If you can afford it, pay what you can. You can't, we're still going to come. So we'd love to do some book readings and talk to you and have young people and older people meet MariaBot. Even business leaders right now, this is what entrepreneurship looks like. So there's a lot to learn from children's books for all ages.
That's awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
Bye, Maria. MariaBot. Bye.
Say bye to everyone.
She's like, I'm done with all of you.
Get some more. That's it.
Good to know.
Yes.
You are always teaching me interesting things.
Yes, Maria. Thank you very much. So yeah, she wants to keep talking. So while you guys are done, it looks like I'll be talking to her for a while.
We'll leave you with that. Thank you.
Thank you,
Everyone. Be safe. Thank you.